Are new postmark rules a form of voter suppression?
And is Venezuela only the first stop in the Trump land grab? We're going to talk about all that today on The Undercurrent.
Hello again, Uncle Warren.
This is a careful what you wish for situation. We were talking before the show, or not wish for, just speak of the devil kind of thing, where you say, man, you got to watch out because StreamYard does some funky stuff. And sure enough, there it was. Sorry about that. But we're here. We're ready. Hopefully this is going to act right today. Oh, we don't need that naughtiness. How are you doing this morning, Lainey?
Well, it's like it says on my nameplate here. This isn't funny anymore, Uncle Warren.
That's right. And mine says "New Year, New You," because that's what they say every year, right? Right, and then what it's about. What's up, Willie? Willie in the house. Willie Bragg.
And we got Kate in the house as well. If you are over on Instagram, a quick reminder that we cannot necessarily see your comments right away, but we will see them and we will respond.
That's because they're written in invisible ink. And we really need to stop doing that. That's really just hampering this whole communications thing. Who else we got in the mix? I thought I saw somebody else there. I may be just hallucinating as usual. That's fine. I think I'll take hallucinations over the actual reality at this point, Lainey.
Pretty much, yeah. That's about where I'm at.
2026 starting off with a bang, right?
Big bang boom. That's what I said. They said that Trumpy and his friends, they want boom. They like things go boom, and that's what's happening. Hey there, CBC voter. Good to see you. Okay, so I wake up Saturday morning. My mom and I have a standing appointment. We go to the gym, then we go have egg bites and coffee over at Starbucks. I wake up, early in the morning, and the first thing I see on my phone is we've kidnapped Maduro and his wife. And I'm thinking, okay, all right. This is dry, and I'm doing dry January, so I'm sober as a judge, no hangover, nothing like that. And I look at this like, okay, I got to check this out, and I do the research. Oh my Lord! So first thing I do is I send the link about this to our good friend Bill Tilford, who's been on the show talking about Venezuela, and to your good self. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I have my breakfast, head out. I'm in the gym and I'm getting ready to do my first rep with the bench press, and suddenly it hits me. And I found myself getting teary. My hands were shaking. And I just, all of a sudden it hit me, and it just hit me hard. And then last night, again, I'm over at another gym, and Planet Fitness has the big screen TVs everywhere, and they're all talking about we're going to seize Greenland.
Yeah, among other places as well. And I think, we've seen this before with what's his face down in Panama, Noriega. Right? When Bush Jr. or when Bush Sr. rather went after him with the rock and roll music. I believe that was, you remember that they were blasting him with the rock and roll music to get him out of wherever he was. And as youngsters, back then, I think this was like around 86, something like that. We were like, aha, he's using Van Halen to get him out of the thing. We didn't realize, the implications of what kind of international laws were being broken. Like, you just can't go down and take somebody's dictator, which sounds dirty, so don't take it that way. But
don't take their potatoes either.
Yeah, it's when you set a precedent like that, that's allowed. That's one thing, right? They had no proof on. You want to say what you want about Maduro. I don't think they had the proof on him to do any of this stuff, especially to blow up the boats in international waters. That was illegal as hell. And then obviously kidnapping a foreign leader and bringing them to your country for trial. you know, what what's I don't want to say what's next because I'm afraid if something might get conjured that's even worse than that. But can we really stop that?
At this point, no. And I mean, going back, Bush Senior did not enter office until I think it was 88. So I think it was later than that. But then remember, we were in Grenada, and I mean, we've been all over the place doing all kinds of crap for a very long.
And this time it was different though because they kept saying it was drugs, and everybody openly knows it's not about drugs. Everybody knows that
It's not about drugs.
The biggest oil reserve in the world at this point. I think even bigger than Saudi Arabia. So that notice how we've kind of cooled with Saudi Arabia. Now it's like, oh, let's go check out Venezuela. You go where the oil is, baby. But yeah, it's bonkers, this whole situation. Let's get to some of what's happening.
Sure.
In the latest. We've got like a little catch you up kind of thing story about what happened on Saturday too. So right now U.S. seizes Russian flagged oil tanker linked to Venezuela after weeks long pursuit. So the U.S. has seized a Russian flagged oil tanker in the Atlantic following a dramatic week-long chase on the high seas. Yar, matey. I'll be whipping you with me cat o' nine tails. Yar. I kind of look like a pirate too. I think I'm gonna wear a patch next time we do this story. The operation to seize the sanctioned vehicle, which changed its name from the Bella One to the Marinera, like the sauce, after fleeing the American blockade of Venezuela last month, was carried out early Wednesday. The U.S. also announced the seizure of another sanctioned tanker, the MT Sophia, which it said was conducting illicit activities in the Caribbean Sea. Care to be a little specific there about the illicit activities? Maybe they will. The Kremlin, a strong supporter of deposed President Nicolas Maduro, accused the U.S. of violating maritime law by seizing the Marinera, Marinera. Maybe that's how you say it. The ship's efforts to evade authorities were followed in real time by a fleet of observers and analysts who also tracked as the U.S. moved military assets to the United Kingdom in recent days. What's that about? The saga emerged as a new flashpoint between Washington and Moscow that threatened to undermine the Trump administration's blockade of the Latin American country in the wake of its stunning attack and capture of Maduro. And this is the last known location. Ooh, look, Iceland. Why don't they want Iceland too? Too small. Oil. Too many volcanoes.
Give them a chance. Seriously.
We can totally take those volcanoes and turn them into cars. We could do it. The U.S. European Command confirmed the seizure of the tanker for violating U.S. sanctions. The vessel was seized in the North Atlantic pursuant to a warrant issued by a U.S. federal court after being tracked by USCGC Monroe. It said a post on the tweeters. Defense Secretary, I love how they're not calling him War Secretary because, right. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared the post, adding, the blockade of sanctioned and illicit Venezuelan oil remains in full effect anywhere in the world. U.S. Southern Command, which oversees military activities in Latin America and the Caribbean, announced on Twitter that the U.S. had also apprehended the MT Sophia, a stateless sanctioned dark fleet motor tanker that it said was operating in international waters and conducting illicit activities in the Caribbean Sea. Again, what are these illicit activities? Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem called the operations 2 safe, effective boardings within hours of each other. Noem said that the Bella One had been trying to evade the Coast Guard for weeks, even changing its flag and painting a new name on the hull while being pursued. That's an old, we used to steal cars, right? They take them to these places, get the new paint job, then they could sell them. In a desperate and failed attempt to escape justice, the heroic crew of the USCGC Monroe, she added, pursued the vessel across the high seas and through treacherous storms. And a giant whale attacked, and everyone said, oh, crap, we weren't prepared for this. If you're going to be out on the high seas, you always should be prepared for a big ass whale to just really mess up stuff. So the U.S. seized 2 oil tankers off the coast of Venezuela last month as part of its blockade of sanctioned oil shipments to and from the country. The Marinera was one of a number of sanctioned oil tankers operating near Venezuela that have recently changed their flags to Russia. Yeah, so changing their flags to Russia, it's like, you want to attack a Russian ship and start World War III over some oil? Come on, baby. That's what it sounds like to me, like that's why they would do that. But Trump said Tuesday that Venezuela would hand over 30 million barrels of oil to the U.S. as its vast reserves emerged as a key pillar of his plans. It's true that actually that didn't emerge as a key pillar. That was his plan the whole time, and a point of tension with Russia and China. And this goes on to talk more about it. But the point is, it's like Bill said, this thing is layered, right?
Yeah.
The things that are going on with Venezuela. It's not just about oil. It's never was about drugs. I think everybody
knows that. What they should.
Yeah, that was just the flimsiest cover story for that. So and now it's onward and upward. It just seems like as soon as the clock struck midnight 2026, he was like, all right, let's go get these countries.
Yeah. Shock and awe.
Yeah, shock and awful.
Yeah.
I haven't, I mean, just to go after one rando country or something like that, we've seen that before in recent years, but this just seems like, okay, here we go. It's buffet time. And I'm just wondering when people are going to actually stand up and do something about it, but we'll see. New year, new you, right? Like the thing says here. So who knows what people will do this year?
New year, more normalization bias.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm so comfy. Why should I? Yeah, exactly. So how is all, if you, like Lainey said, this started Saturday. So let's just go kind of run through this real quick. So how the U.S. attacked, what happened, and the abduction there. And folks, you gotta be very careful of AI stuff too. Right away when it was announced, there was some crazy AI stuff, protect, the way he was captured, and then the celebrations too. They're like, no, this was in Venezuela, but then turns out it wasn't, or it was AI, whatever. So be careful of this AI business. It's going to trick you. It's going to try to anyway. So Trump bombed Venezuela, abducted President Nicolas Maduro. He at his news conference on Saturday at Mar-a-Lago in Florida, Trump praised the operation to and then as one of the most stunning, effective. Okay, whatever. I failed to see the need in reading his propaganda, because it's just like it's just like a fisherman telling a story of a fish that was actually this big, but he's saying it's this big, and we've had enough of fish stories, right? Are you done with fish stories?
We are the undercurrent, but we could all put them into.
That's right.
Well, we can put them all in the clownfish store. We can feature them in the clownfish segment. So, I mean, this is it is really demoralizing. One of the interesting things is Saturday, I took delivery of a new kitchen table, and while I put it together, I had the BBC on and with their coverage. And one thing I'll say about the BBC is they're pretty good at getting experts on multiple sides of an issue to come on. And you don't have to, we don't have to both sidism these things, but it's interesting to hear the perspectives of those who supported this action versus those who did not support it or are taking a more nuanced take on this. But I do agree that right now the AI stuff is really concerning. And I think it's something that we're going to have to really keep our eye on, particularly over the next couple of weeks, because we may be seeing things that are simply not happening, but it could be very difficult to discern that. But the other thing I would point out is that it's still very easy to not use AI and do the same sort of thing where you take a video, put it up there, put your own context, and it may have nothing to do with what's going on right now in Venezuela or any place else. They take a picture of a demonstration.
They were doing that using celebrations in the United States and saying some of these pundits or some of these so-called journalists were saying that it was celebrations in Caracas, Venezuela, and it's like, no, that's in Miami, that's in here. It's these people who left. The capitalists who got driven out of Venezuela are the ones who were celebrating. They want to get that oil back. So,
well, the other thing I would point out, though, is that, I mean, one can have some issues, serious issues with Maduro and the government there and the regime there, and yet say that they don't think it's a good idea for the world's so-called superpower to kidnap people in the dead of night.
Yeah, I mean, and we've been interfering in other people's governments for decades too.
And what we've done with our own citizenry, but that's another story.
Most of it's been covert. Now it's just overt. They're just doing it out in the sunshine now. But so a lot of people want to know, well, how did it happen? You said, he had gotten 6 million or 7 million people in the country armed up to the teeth. So what happened? So the operation, named Absolute Resolve, was carefully rehearsed for months, according to General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who spoke at Trump's news conference. He said U.S. forces had practiced their extradition of Maduro on a replica building. They actually built a house which was identical to the one they went into, with all that steel all over the place, those things. So, okay, so Friday night, Kane said that the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators all right, whatever. About 150 aircraft were involved in the operation, taken off from 20 different air bases across the Western Hemisphere. As part of the operation, U.S. forces disabled Venezuela's air defense systems, with Trump saying that the lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have, probably EMPs or something like that. Several deafening explosions rang out across the capital, with the defense secretary describing it as part of a massive joint military and law enforcement raid, and lasted less than 30 minutes. U.S. helicopters then touched down at Maduro's compound in the capital around 2:01 a.m. local time on Saturday, with the Venezuelan president and his wife then being taken into custody. There has been no readout on whether there was an exchange of fire in the chaotic scramble. Although I heard that, here we go. That's how many people were killed. So U.S. strikes, the U.S. caused an explosion that was so strong it destroyed the roof off of one person's house. This is a very explosive, and I mean like that in all senses of the word, operation here to get this guy. This was more of a send a message type of abduction, right? The pomp and circumstance. Look at us, we're getting the drug guy, even though now it's what are we gonna do about this Earl? What are we gonna do about all this oil? Right. So basically you're kind of caught up to there. Now he's in New York on trial. He pled not guilty because he knows it's a show trial. It's a crazy, and this is, of course, this is intimidation for other countries.
Yeah.
Not just in South America, but also in Africa too. The ones that they're kicking out the French. They're kicking out the French after all these years of colonization and colonizing and stuff. So,
and now they're done with the Chinese, but that's another story.
Right. Yeah. The thing is, the global South isn't as weak as the West once thought it was, and now they're starting to tamp down on it. At least I think that's what's happening. So did you? And a lot of this stuff is just based on just BS, right? It's like, that he's the leader of these cartels that don't exist. Well, like I said, I don't know the man personally. I'm just talking about this as this case progresses, right? If he was an evil guy and you think you should have been scooped up or whatever, that's your business. If you think this was illegal as hell getting them, that's okay. Everybody should express their opinions on this. But the dude's in court with some shady evidence on him. So let me get this back here. So after claiming Maduro was its kingpin, the Department of Justice now admits in court that Cartel de los Soles isn't a real group. Kind of like the Monkees at first, before they learned to play the instruments.
No, actually, many of them did, but that's another story. The history of the Monkees is far more interesting than people realize, but go on.
Well, you know. Well, all right, in sync. All right, how about that? They're in sync.
Okay.
Cartel de los, it's not they're in sync. So one of the central claims Trump administration had used to justify the overthrow of Maduro and describe his government as illegitimate is the allegation that he is the leader of a multinational narco-terrorist organization known as Cartel de los Soles. But now that the Department of Justice must prove the allegation in court following the U.S. military's kidnapping of Maduro last week, prosecutors are backing off the claim and, in effect, admitting that critics had long protested that Cartel de los Soles is not, in fact, an organization at all. And spoiler alert, neither is Antifa. That's not even an organization at all. It never was. That's like saying Happiness is an organization and Lady Happiness is a terrorist organization. And if you support happiness, you support terrorism. You see how silly that is, but that's kind of what they're doing here. They're making up these things that don't exist. And one of these things being this terrorist group that doesn't exist. So in the months leading up to the illegal U.S. invasion that plucked Maduro from power, the Treasury Department and State Department both designated Cartel de los Soles, or NSYNC, as a foreign terrorist organization. That allegation originated from a 2020 grand jury indictment of Maduro, drafted by the Department of Justice during Trump's first term, of course. The document described the Cartel de los Soles, or NSYNC, as a Venezuelan drug trafficking organization comprised of high-ranking Venezuelan officials. Ain't no lie. Bye. There's a big catch with the impression created by the Trump administration's narrative. Cartel de los Soles is not a literal organization. According to a range of specialists in Latin American criminal and narcotics issues, from think tank analysts to former Drug Enforcement Administration officials. It is instead a figure of speech in Venezuela. It's a figure of speech, sure. Dating back to the 1990s for Venezuelan military officials corrupted by drug money, they say. The term, which means cartel of the suns, is a mocking invocation of the suns Venezuelan generals wear to denote their rank, like American ones wear stars. It is for that reason that the DEA's annual National Drug Threat Assessment, which describes major trafficking organizations in detail, has never mentioned Cartel de los Soles or NSYNC, nor has the annual World Drug Report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. And so this is all part of this trial. I don't know what this trial for. They don't even have any evidence that he was like running drugs at all. So, like I said, there just seems just like more theater, right? Nevertheless, the claim that Maduro was at the helm of an international terrorist cartel was a core justification the Trump administration had used over the past year to legitimize pushing him out of power. So they're already starting to pick this apart. And my question is, once they do pick all this apart and find out there's absolutely no evidence against him in any of these charges, what happens after that? Do you just go, oopsie sauce, my bad, dog?
I think Chuck has it here. I'd call it a kangaroo court, but that would be an insult to kangaroos. And I really don't want to insult kangaroos because I think they're kind of cool. Nice. You ever seen them box?
Oh, they got guns too, man. They
box. I mean, I have you wonder what evolutionary quirk occurred there. But yeah, my fear is that that once the U.S. government federal government has them, they can do all kinds of stuff. Federal charges can be very difficult to get out of. Once the feds go after, from what I understand, once the feds go after you, the laws are written in such a way that you're basically trapped. And they can rise up something against you. Again, I am no fan of Maduro at all, and I think that there are any number of criticisms that could be made, but what we've got, we're using the drugs as a specter, and my real fear is that either something happens to him while he or his wife while they are in custody, and I'm still trying to figure out why his wife was kidnapped along with him. And so there's that, or they're going to make something stick.
Right. Well, I mean, they haven't been Trump's track record in court hasn't been that great. So this could be like a coin flip as to what happens to Maduro, right? He could get, because if he wins the case, then that makes the United States look bad, and Trump
we already look bad.
It's going to make it look a hell of a lot worse.
A lot worse.
You just kidnapped and tried the leader of a foreign country in your own hemisphere,
and his wife,
yeah, and you lost, and now of course. I mean, Trump's not going to care, because Trump is just you heard his rhetoric afterwards. He said we're going to do whatever we want. Nobody's going to stop us. He literally said those words. I'm like, okay, we'll see. Other people got weapons in this country too. So I'm not saying, but somebody's going to stand up. So, and it might be that
here's the thing though. Okay. Here's the thing. This is what I'm concerned about. Every time something like this happens, you better believe the CIA and whoever is keeping a very close watch on the actions of the U.S. population.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? Are we willing to do anything? Are we succumbing to normalization bias, or are we taking action? And
well, maybe
they're saying, hey, these folks are comfy little sheep.
Yeah, definitely. But in the EU, maybe a different story. It says EU leaders back Denmark as Trump reignites threats to annex Greenland. So they see what's going on with Venezuela, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Now he's going to try and get Greenland. So European leaders issued coordinated warnings and statements January 6th. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that was yesterday, right? After U.S. President Donald Trump renewed threats to annex Greenland, framing the remarks as a direct challenge to NATO unity, international law, and post-World War II security arrangements. Maybe this is his way of trying to get out of NATO. Just like, I'm going to invade Greenland. I'm going to take Greenland just so I can get out of NATO. We're not quitters, but we will get fired. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said a U.S. military move against Greenland and autonomous territory with the Danish kingdom would amount to an attack on a NATO member. Oh, so if he attacks a NATO member, would the what is that? Article 5, does that kick in? And does NATO attack the United States?
That would be awesome.
I
would love that.
You're attacking a NATO country, and then the whole trigger. It's like they didn't say nothing about each other attacking each other. I don't think. Well, maybe it does. I don't know. But she warned that if Washington decides to attack another NATO country, then everything would stop, including NATO itself and the post-World War II security framework that has underpinned collective defense for over half a century. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is his messed up way of trying to get out of NATO. I'm just going to blow up NATO. I told you to up your defense budgets. This is why, because I'm coming to blow up NATO. So her comments followed Trump's renewed insistence on January 5th that the U.S. needs Greenland for national security. Take a drink. And that's the drinking game is national security. Anytime you hear anything redacted or anything that just sounds like nonsense, they just slap national security on it. Take a drink, but be careful. Your liver would be in danger. So, and interest first made public in August 19th during his first presidential term. So he'd been wanting that Greenland for a while. Never mind this picture because Lindsey Graham's out of frame, and well, we'll see. We'll just
Uncle Warren.
I'm just saying, if you see the whole video, you know what I'm talking about. He cited the it's pretty creepy. He cited the presence of Chinese and Russian ships around the Arctic island as a national security concern, and again refused to rule out the use of force, saying he would revisit the issue in 20 days. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna send ice to Greenland? Because there's already enough ice there. A lot of ice. What? How do you conquer a country that has all that ice on it? I don't get it.
Maybe he wants to take over all of like the spas that they have there. I mean,
those were on, Iceland's got those too, with all those volcanoes and stuff.
Yeah,
well, Greenland's got volcanoes too, right?
Yeah, I think so. All that good stuff. Hey,
you're just chilling in a hot tub, and you got the frozen mountains.
And turn them to Mar-a-Lago North or something.
That's what he wants. He wants those hot. He wants those hot springs.
That's what
he can make Mar-a-Lago Greenland. So, needless to say, Greenland Prime Minister Jens Frederick Nielsen rejected the rhetoric while urging calm, saying the U.S. cannot simply conquer Greenland and calling talk of annexation fantasies. He stressed that Greenland's future must be decided through the proper channels and with respect for international law.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I know, right? What kind of commies are doing that international law thing? Nielsen added that Greenland seeks to restore good cooperation with Washington and urged residents not to panic at the prospect of a U.S. invasion, and urged Trump.
Just don't panic. The U.S. decides to invade because they want to seize your country.
Well, I mean, this is like Vikings have invaded this place a whole bunch of times. I don't think they're scared of the United States, especially if they send those Texas National Guard members. They send them. Greenland's fine. They're going to be. Those guys will get cold and they'll be like, "Oh, I got to get back to the car." They got heat. I got heat warmers in my seat warmers. So Nielsen added that Greenland seeks to restore good cooperation. European backing for Denmark came swiftly with a joint statement issued by Frederickson, the leaders of France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain, and the UK. Oh, the UK is sticking their head out like a shy turtle.
Imagine that.
What's up, Yonina? Saying Arctic security is a European priority and confirming that allies are increasing their presence to deter adversaries. Stop it. I was telling the Cradle that. Sorry. This is where I'm getting it from, the Cradle. While emphasizing solidarity with Copenhagen and Greenland, the statement also described Washington as an essential partner. They're basically saying, "Go home, U.S. You're drunk. Let's get you an Uber, buddy. All right, come on. You're pretty messed up, dude." Individual European officials reinforced that line with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk saying that no NATO member should threaten another, warning the alliance would lose its meaning if internal military pressure emerged. Yeah, kind of would. German Foreign Minister Johann Wadefull, what a wonderful world, said Greenland belongs to Denmark and noted that any need to strengthen its defense would be discussed with NATO. So they separately underline principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity, signaling that pressure or threats against Greenland across accepted red lines within the bloc. When you threaten a member of your own little organization with taking all their stuff, that tends to leave a bad taste in your mouth.
Uncle Warren, maybe this is a lesson for us that we shouldn't be threatening each other.
Right?
I know. Undermine the undercurrent.
You are you threatening me? I am cornhole.
Not yet.
Are you threatening me? I need TP. There's no, you're right. Well, I tell you, it means something about like us here in the United States, pitted against each other over political and ideological lines too. Maybe there's a lesson for us to get our act together, right?
Maybe.
Come together.
There's something else that's been bothering me about this, Uncle Warren. Stephen Miller has been the guy who's been shooting his mouth. I mean, the man is just very disturbing. But he's been shooting his mouth off a lot about the whole Greenland thing. Do you know if Stephen Miller and his wife are still living on a military base?
Then I'm not sure.
Because I know it was reported maybe like a month ago that a bunch of Trump administration officials were living on military bases, which is very strange.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Easier access to the bunkers, I guess, once the
and it's just I mean, this is not normal. So yeah, something for us to keep an eye on.
Well, Colombia's keeping an eye on it too. They're like, we're not gonna be next. So Colombia's Petro promises to defend the homeland amid Trump threats. It's another South American country if you're not down with geography. So Colombia President Gustavo Petro said he would take up arms for his country if necessary, as the U.S. issues threats against him and his government. In a social media post on Monday, Petro, a former leftist fighter, said any violent U.S. intervention in Colombia, such as the kind carried out in Venezuela over the weekend, would provoke a response. I swore not to touch a weapon again, Petro said, but for the homeland, I will take up arms again. There's a picture there, Lainey. There's okay. Anyway, yeah. So, Mile High Club. Petro has emerged as an outspoken critic of Trumpy, who has threatened Colombia with possible military strikes in the name of combating drug trafficking, which is funny because he didn't do that before when they were right wingers running the country. Anywho, the two leaders have frequently traded insults, but Trump's threats have become increasingly hostile in recent days. Yeah, thanks to his little toadies over here egging him on there. Trump said over the weekend that Petro should watch his ass. I'm going to say it. I'm not going to say asterisk. He said watch his ass after the abduction of Venezuelan leader Maduro, an act widely considered illegal by scholars of international law. Speaking with reporters on Sunday, Trump said a similar operation against Petro's government sounds good to me.
So so once again, we now have a kidnapper in chief.
Yeah, we sure do. And I guess that's going to be his MO. He's going to go in, kidnap them, and hold their country for hostage, or for ransom, I should say. So here's Trump talking about Colombia is very sick, whatever. Colombia's military and foreign affairs announced Trump's comments as an undue interference in the international affairs of the country against the norms of international law. See, that's one thing this Colombia dude needs to stop doing is all this pretty talk down here. An undue interference in the this, like, he needs to start saying Trump's a bitch, and he needs to start, doing this towards the camera, like, why'd you blink? Why'd you blink? He needs to get tough. I say that, and then they drop a nuke or something on him. But Trump's accused Petro of facilitating the trafficking of drugs. You've heard that tune before, a claim for which there's no evidence and is firmly denied by Petro, who said his government has worked to combat drug production while taking steps away from the militarized approach of the war on drugs. So it's they're gonna come after Petro too and say, oh, them drugs, you got them drugs. Even though they pardoned that dude, I guess he was the former Honduran president who was indicted for and convicted for drug smuggling, and and they said, well, let's pardon that guy because he was kind of cool. I don't know if that's what they said.
Argentina's president is happy about all this.
Oh, Malay?
Yeah.
Oh, Malay. My God. That, because he knows he's going to get billions in handouts from the United States. What is it? They asked for 20 and they got 40 or something like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back here at home.
Yeah, fortunes are being made.
Speaking of fortune, this is from Fortune.
Hey, Max
Magazine.
RJ, good to see you, friend.
What's up? Poo 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 caca. That shit. There you go. That's 3 ways to say excrement. Good job. A very smart audience. One Polymarket user made more than $400,000 in profits betting on Maduro's capture on an investment made within 24 hours of the military action. What? What is that?
Learn
Is
something new every day.
So it's gang signs? Is that the Cartos de los Fuentes? What are the Tito Fuente? Whatever that thing he was in. Last week, one Polymarket account invested over $30,000 on Maduro's exit by January 31st, 2026, when U.S. forces seized the Venezuelan leader and his wife from their home on Saturday. The user netted $436,759.61, translating to a profit of more than $400,000. The account was created less than a week before Maduro's capture and only made bets associated with Maduro's exit and the U.S. going to war with Venezuela, including within a day of his arrest. The timing of that is quite suspicious, at least. I like it. I'm like old Southern preaching. I got to pat the sweat off my brow on that one. Woo! Laws, yes. Laws, yes. The timing of the account's creation, as well as its eye-popping winnings, have raised concerns about insider trading. You think? No, this guy, he knew because reasons. Because prediction markets saw Maduro's capture is statistically unlikely. Polymarket listed the odds for his capture by January 31st as low as 5.5%. Kalshi, a competing platform, had the probability of Maduro exiting office before February at 7%. That's where we're at. We're betting on when world leaders are going to get kidnapped by the United States. It's like those the squares, you play for the football games. It's kind of when is he going to get captured and where, and that kind of thing. What people making money off of this? This is where we're at now. What's going on, Lainey?
And insider trading on flagrant, in my opinion, violations of national sovereignty, kidnapping, and now it's a source of insider trading. I mean, people will bet on anything. I mean, I know that. Anybody with a brain knows that, people will bet on anything. But to see just how this is legitimized. And now we know, now there's clearly insider trading because we got people, this has been planned for a while, obviously. I found this article, Uncle Warren. That's why that's why I put it in the show notes. I just said, look, we got to talk about this. This is,
there's not much of an article. It's when you're betting on your military like that, and you have inside information, that means the security of your military is not that good.
Yeah.
If this information is leaking out, especially just to people, just some randos making money off of it, and that's the thing. It's like, it goes back to Hegseth using what was that? He was using WeChat, or he was using some commercial communications app for like to do like military planning and stuff that was supposed to be on secured stuff. That's more of this kind of stuff where it's they don't really wait a minute. Yeah, it's like you can make money, you can bet on literally anything now.
Yeah.
And to say that you could to make money off of war or the potential for war or for actions, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can bet on how many people get killed in a war or something like that, which is scary as hell. If people are
and my friend Andrew here is commenting, no more suspicious than Pelosi's investments over the past couple of years in a row. Yeah. And if you think, Andrew, that we are the folks here who are we are supportive of Pelosi, you're dead wrong. We are not in Pelosi's camp here.
No, I mean, that's the same thing.
It is distressing to see people go into the office who don't have a pot to piss in and come out with millions, or this is very distressing. It's not for us. It's not for us, the mere mortals. We're not
No.
liking it.
Yeah, and these are the people that get free healthcare too. Remember that.
Yeah,
Always
they get the
that
gold standard.
they get the gold standard healthcare, and you do not, my friends. Just remember that whenever you idolize any of these people that are in office like this, remember what they're doing for you and what they're doing for themselves is a vast ocean, as it were. You get it? Ocean, because we're water themed. Say, speaking of people in oppression and whatnot, it's new rules for postmarks that could affect mail-in voting. Is this a deliberate act of voter suppression, or is this just weird? No, I'm going to say the other, because I'm sure they knew. So
Okay, so here's what's going on,
take it
friends. And
away.
if you want, check out our show notes, because I've got a number of articles, also a link to a video by Park Rose Permaculture. She is a YouTube creator. She does some good stuff, and I found her video on this. I wasn't even aware of it until I checked her out, which is why, again, independent media is so important, because we have the time to look into different things. Each individual creator has some time to look into individual issues, hobby horses. We spot things that you may not see with other independent creators, or certainly on standard media, so-called standard media. And she did a really fantastic video on this from a voter suppression perspective, but there's a lot more. There are many more things, I should say, many more things going on here with this. So in the U.S., we have something called the mailbox rule, and that means that certain transactions, and it's not every transaction out there, but there are certain contracts, certain bills and payments, such as tax payments or tax return submission, tax form submissions, or things like insurance payments, voter mail-in voting. They are considered to be on time if they are delivered to a mailbox on a certain date. So if you have a deadline, if you have, say, a deadline of the January 31st, for example, as long as it's in the mailbox by January 31st, it is considered to have been accepted by the other party, even if the other party doesn't receive it right away. Now, on a practical level, you're going to have to be able to, you may have to prove that you actually delivered it to a mailbox. So the safest way of going about doing that is going to a post office and having them and mailing it directly there. So the postmark is there, but also getting some proof of mailing that has a stamp on it that gives that date. What has happened here is there's a new shift in post office regulation, where the postmark on the post office or the postal system will not issue a postmark at the post office, but instead the mail will be taken from the post office to a central hub where it will then be postmarked. As a result, the postmark may actually be after the day that you delivered it to the post office. So if you got something in on January 31st that was due on January 31st, it may not get that postmark until, say, February 2nd. That can happen. And even though you were on time, the postmark will indicate that you didn't get it on time. And that can be a real problem. It is a real problem for places where votes are submitted by mail. And for example, the state of Oregon doesn't have polling places. They have, it's all mail-in voting. There are military people with disabilities. During the lockdowns, of course, everything went to voting by mail. I'm actually not crazy about that system. I think there's something to be said for well-regulated and appropriately located polling places, so that people can cast their ballots, and there are observers there, I really do think that there's a real advantages to that. But mail-in voting is a necessity in some cases. So what Park Rose permaculture has argued is that this could be a form of voter suppression, because people who are used to mail-in voting, or who have to mail in their ballots, may follow what had previously been the appropriate rules, but because of the delay in the processing of the mail, because they have to go from the local post office to a central hub, the postmark may not be on their their envelope, and as a result will be discounted. This could also have implications for tax payments, or for tax return submissions, for insurance payments, for some contracts. And that's going to be a big deal. Now, there is a way to remedy this. You will have to go into the post office and ask them to hand cancel, or hand stamp, manually stamp, or the postage. And you can get a receipt. You can walk out of there with that receipt. It will actually be on the envelope, the actual postmark. You can get a confirmation of that. So if you have to defend if you get into a conflict with the insurance company or the tax authority, or whoever you have the contract with, you can prove under the mailbox rule that you submitted that on time, that you delivered that to them on time. In the case of voting ballots, if they have to check the integrity of the ballots, again, you'll be able to prove that it will be on the envelope, and you will have some proof of it. But people need to be aware of this change, because if you're not hearing a lot about it in the media, it was really a fairly recent change, and good on Park Rose permaculture. She's doing good work. We're not completely aligned, can't expect to be politically or socially, but she's got some really good stuff, and I do recommend checking her out. And again, the postmark rules, all of this information is available on our Substack and our show notes. So do subscribe, do check that out. The link, and we've put that in our we've put this in the title bar on YouTube. You can also check out our link tree. Do sign up for that or check it out so you and your family know about it. Also, let your friends know. If you know people who do a lot of business by mail or who vote by mail, let them know about this. And let's say somebody, they vote by mail and they can't really get to a post office. This could be a neighborly thing to do, is ask, hey, look, let me take that to the post office for you. I'll ask them to hand cancel it. We'll get a receipt, and you're going to be good to go.
Yeah, definitely with especially with voting like that. And there's been so much let's just say inconsistencies with votes coming in through the mail, like you said, this missed the time here, this missed the stamp date here. And when you have to, if it's your vote, if you care about your vote that much, you'll take the time to make the effort to make sure that all of that information is correct, because then some people who are trying to skew these elections in some sort of favor will use this information that, like, oh yeah, see, well, these weren't dated here, and people can say, no, look, I actually went through the process of doing this. And it's pretty sad that you have to do that, but that's where we are when it comes to any kind of election integrity here in this country too. We don't trust each other anyway at this point now, so we have to be doubly transparent when it comes to these elections like that, especially the mail-in ballots that can easily be, oh, we lost them, oh, how did that
they all came in late, so they don't count. Well, yeah. And people can establish that when they get the hand cancel and get a receipt. The other thing that I would ask people to keep in mind here is, again, this is not just about voting. It's about some contracts. It's about your health insurance premiums. It can be about tax forms. Tax. I mean, I don't remember if you remember before we had e-filing, Uncle Warren, but I remember on April 14th or whatever it was, seeing lines outside the post office at 9 o'clock at night because people were waiting to get their stuff in. It's that sort of thing. If you have an obligation to get something to somebody on a certain date, and the mailbox rule does not cover all transactions, and I want you to keep that in mind, but it covers many of them. If you have to do that, and you have to do it by mail, get proof of mailing, get a hand cancellation, take that extra time. I know that if you have more than 50 pieces of mail, you need to contact the post office ahead of time, and the postmaster there can help you out with arranging to have you come in and have your stuff hand canceled, but you're going to have to do that.
Yeah, Chuck says chain of custody integrity is always the issue. The United States Postal Service used to be an organization you could trust.
You can't anymore. You can't anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. CYA folks, cross those I's and dot those T's when it comes to that stuff. Don't you can't take that for granted anymore. Yeah. So what else can you not take for granted is airline flights, right? You like how I did that? Did you see the little thing?
Well, we've known that about that too. Yes.
U.S. airlines get more flexibility with new consumer protection rule changes. Are passengers at risk? So the U.S. government has announced plans to ease the enforcement of certain airline consumer protection rules. Okay. A move that has sparked debate across the travel industry. I would hope so, at least. The proposed changes could impact both travelers and airliners by altering the way certain regulations are enforced, including issues related to flight delays, cancellations, and passenger compensation. While the changes aim to provide more flexibility for airlines, they also raise concerns about the potential weakening of consumer rights. Wow, there's a shock. In this article, we'll explore the key details. So of the proposed changes, one is reducing the stringency of enforcement. U.S. Department of Transportation is considering adjustments to how strictly it enforces certain airline consumer protection rules. These regulations cover a variety of passenger rights, including compensation for delays, cancellations, and baggage handling. The aim is to give airlines more leeway in their operations, potentially easing some of the stricter requirements for compensation or reimbursement to passengers in cases of disruption. So is this basically saying, like, if you're instead of comping somebody because the flight was delayed or canceled, whatever, they have the wherewithal?
They're loosening that up
that?
for the benefit of the airlines. They're making it harder. I think they're going to make it. It sounds like they're trying to make it harder for consumers to assert their rights, to have right to compensation, to assistance with lodging and food, that sort of thing. If something is delayed, and there are consequences that if their baggage is delayed or lost, it would make it harder for consumers to get some compensation for that. And I think one thing what people don't realize is that travelers are pretty vulnerable. You have people out there who may not have a whole lot of cash to deal with major travel issues if they haven't purchased travel insurance, for example. And sometimes travel insurance itself doesn't always cover things right away. You can apply for reimbursement, but you may not be able to make use of those benefits right away. But you have somebody, for example, they're taking a trip, and they don't make their connection due to an airline problem, and they're stuck at an airport, and they're told, too bad, so sad. And then they're stuck either sleeping at an airport, which is not very comfortable. They're having to pay money for food, which, as you know, in the airport is very expensive. Mm-hmm. And they may not have money for a hotel or transportation to a hotel, or they're at their destination and their flights are canceled back home, or there are again delays, and they don't have the money to stay at a hotel or to eat or for transportation. I've heard of people who have taken all their money, wanted to go on a cruise. The cruise is canceled. The folks are sent back to the airport, and they have no flight, and their flights aren't flying out. They don't have the money to reschedule those flights. And we can say, well, okay, they should have had more money on them. Okay, maybe not. But these are, this is the reality of traveling. that having to address major changes at this point can be incredibly expensive. I heard about one family, the cruise was canceled due to bad weather, and every hotel within 45 minutes of the cruise port was booked. So they had to spend their money, rent a car, and go out and find a hotel that was willing to take them, I think, for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Or until they were able to pay, or they have to pay a lot of money to get their flights rescheduled. And if it's a bad weather situation, there may not be flights. So we were looking at some very vulnerable people who are also traveling for business. They may be traveling because they have a family situation. And again, this is very unnerving to me because, of course, if people start to assert themselves in that situation with the airline could have them removed, can have them banned from that airline. And, and I'm not saying that certainly people should not be threatening or causing a ruckus, but it gives the airlines a lot of leeway in how they treat passengers.
Yeah, that's what it says here. That's what I'm thinking. And a lot of this stems from you know, all the budget cuts and stuff to increase the profit margins in these airlines too. And a lot of these budget cuts are affecting the services. So it's like your budget cuts are affecting the services that these customers are paying for. Now you're not going to compensate them, or at least cut back on the compensation for your, you know, lack of preparation for these services that you promised to provide, right?
Yeah.
So the proposed easing of enforcement is being framed as a way to offer airlines greater flexibility, particularly in the face of operational challenges such as staffing shortages due to layoffs because of profits, weather-related disruptions, or unforeseen delays. And a lot of unforeseen delays can also be mechanical problems too. If you go on the cheap with mechanical stuff, that is the biggest no-no. You should always make that a priority to make sure your planes are safe. But a lot of times, you know, something might be a little too pricey. Let's see if this duct tape will work kind of situation. Maybe not that extreme, but maybe in some cases. So they've lobbied, airlines have lobbied for more flexibility, arguing that stricter enforcement of certain rules often leads to financial penalties. See, or operational inefficiencies. Yeah, they start doing this dumb stuff, and then they start getting fined for it too. And then, you know, this just really sounds ridiculous on their part. Like, why would you even want to fly after all this
Nobody
stuff?
wants to fly anymore. You know, flying used to be fun when I was a kid. I mean, I know that, you know, if you're doing regular business travel, it's going to be a grind regardless. But when I was a kid, I mean, it was fun, you know, and even as a teenager, it was fun. But then things got more and more restrictive, and now it's just plain painful. You know, I get my frequent flyer miles, and I save them up, and then when I do fly, I often just use them to upgrade myself to first class, only because I don't want to deal with what, you know, the cattle class has to deal with, and it's bad enough in first class.
Yeah, I don't have space, and even in the exit row, you know, I'm 6'4",
Yeah,
and
you're
flying on a
tall. You're a
plane,
tall guy.
even flying for like 3 hours is a nightmare. I usually take a train. Yeah, it takes a lot
Yeah.
longer, but I can get up, I can stretch out, and you know, they even stop sometimes. You can get off, and it's like, yeah, and you don't have to go through like the security like you're going to the moon or something, like you do at the airlines. I found this part interesting. Under the new approach, airlines may not be held to the same stringent standards for compensating passengers in certain situations, particularly when delays are caused by factors outside their control, such as extreme weather or air traffic control issues. So it's basically just giving them carte blanche to say, well, it's Mother Nature. It's not our fault. Why should we compensate you? You know, and again, it's because of money. They want to keep that money for themselves. They don't want you. You know, they figure you are trapped, that you have to fly, but you don't have to. Some consumer advocates worry that this shift could reduce the incentives for airlines to minimize delays or provide adequate compensation to affected passengers, Right, and which in turn minimizes the incentives for providing quality service to your passengers too, because as that goes down, all of your quality, it's going to be. What's the airline that people always joke about having like chickens in the back, like Spirit Airlines? Is that what it is? No shade to Spirit. I've never flown Spirit, but you hear a lot of bad jokes about Spirit. But I mean, is that what it is? Is that where all airlines are going to? The Spirit Airlines chicken in the back, cross your fingers and toes mentality.
It's just you have to pay for everything. You have to pay for a decent seat. You have to pay for your baggage. In fact, baggage has become so expensive that, again, one of the reasons why I just upgrade my flights to first class is that it can be cheaper in some cases, or not, or even a matter of $20 more to take first class when I need to check baggage, because I hate trying to get baggage in on those flights. None of this works. It's ridiculous.
Trains are much more easy. I've found
I like train travel. I enjoy it. If it was actually reliable, it'd be great. But as Kate is telling us, it's like the problem with Amtrak. It's like rolling across the country in a sewage container.
Yeah, it is.
It used to be a lot nicer. It used to be. I remember when I was at Illinois State University, we would usually take the motor coaches back home to Chicago. But if I was feeling flush, I would take an Amtrak. And that was great because you get on there, and if you paid, I want to say $10 more, you got what they call custom class. And you got into the custom class car, you had a nicer seat, and you got a snack, you got a drink, so a tea, coffee, or a soft drink with refills, and a newspaper. And I would sit there and I'd read my newspaper, have my snack, have my drink, and get home in style. And that was awesome. But it's not like that anymore.
I took a 2001. I took a train trip from Mississippi up to Chicago, and the train. This is when they had a smoking car. You could go in there.
Oh man, that's
all
old
the fiends.
School.
Yeah, and 25 years ago, and so you had that. You had a nice dining car. I mean, it's like tables like set up, and they had people come up. And this was Amtrak at the time. You even had an observation car, one of those with like the glass side, so you could see everything while you're going along. It's pretty cool. And then so even like just 8 years later, after that, 2009, I take the train from the south to New York, and even taking the train from New York to Chicago. You didn't have any of that stuff. Obviously, the smoking cars are gone, but the dining car is now some sort of messed up snack car. There's no observation car, and you feel like you're in a tomb. You got windows, but but at least it's better than having to go through like I said, like you're trying to get on the space shuttle or something. You're going all through these flight checks and stuff trying to get in the airport, and it's just ridiculous. And people, and now I think is it for domestic travel you have to have the that special ID now to fly?
The real ID. Real ID. Or they'll make you go through extra checks. Chuck can talk about the probes.
He sells like half in this district. No, but it is. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, see, you don't want to go through all that. Just get the real ID, and you slide right through, right? See, fool me 100 times, shame on you. Fool me, sorry.
And Peace Stub, I've been in the Zephyr too. Back in the day, the Zephyr was pretty nice.
Yes, not anymore. I mean, I'm all for the bullet trains. Let's get some bullet trains like they got across China, man.
There's something else.
Stuff. Yeah, you talk about getting from East Coast to West Coast, like probably the same time you'd be in a flight, like 3 hours.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, and you can walk around, and you can probably get hammered. if you're still into that sort of thing. Not a lot of people doing the drinking thing anymore. The youngsters not really into the booze. I saw a poll into that, so I'm like, good on them. So you got Mayor Mamdani now. He's been sworn in, and he's already making waves over there in New York City. So he rescinds the pro-Israel executive orders issued by Eric Adams. So what Eric Adams had done. So people who were with the BDS movement, the boycott was a boycott, divest, and sanction movement for Israel, were told that they couldn't do that in New York because Eric Adams made an executive order. So now that this Mayor Mamdani guy is in charge, he has rescinded that. So in his first hours in office, Mamdani rescinded 9 executive orders that his predecessor Eric Adams had issued following his corruption indictment. Yes, Eric Adams, former chief of police of, or at least, yeah, he's definitely a former cop. And cops becoming mayors is probably not a good thing in New York. Some of the revoked orders were pro-Israel measures. One barred city officials from boycotting or divesting from Israel, subjecting them to potential disciplinary action if they back such a campaign. So this is Eric Adams. This was last month. He said, "You're being targeted, and we have to be as intelligent and as focused and as strategic as possible. That's why I'm signing an executive order today to deal with BDS so we can stop the madness that we should not invest in Israel," which I always had a problem with. It's like if a company doesn't want to invest in another company for reasons, they shouldn't be forced to do that because of something like that. But he said BDS has no place in our city. The movement is anti-Semitic in nature. Or that's up to your interpretation, I guess, and discriminatory in practice. Yeah, I guess if you do it as a government, maybe it is discriminatory. But if letting, I thought people had like the free market and stuff, but I guess that was BS too. So Mamdani also revoked a June order that adopted the controversial International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's, the IHRA, working definition of anti-Semitism. The definition equates some criticisms of Israel with anti-Semitism. These include describing the existence of a state of Israel as a racist endeavor and denying the Jewish people their right to self-determination. Mamdani also canceled an Adams order that directed the NYPD to take steps towards a ban on protests outside houses of worship. In addition to the cancellation, Mamdani issued his own executive order instructing Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch to review the issue. It calls on Tisch to establish appropriate limitations on protest activities outside of houses of worship during non-religious activities to protect the speech and assembly rights of community members who make use of houses of worship. That's very worded. That's a lot of words. Let's see. So that order, Adams' order, was a direct response to a November protest outside the Park East Synagogue organized by the Palestinian Assembly for Liberation. The activists were targeting an event hosted by Nefesh B'Nefesh, an organization that assists Jewish individuals in relocating to Israel and participating in the dispossession of Palestinians from their land. So now, yeah, he is changing a lot of this in New York. And for those of you unawares of New York, there are a lot of Jewish people in New York City, in case you haven't figured that out. And a lot of them are very pro-Israel in New York. So the fact that not only he has been elected in that environment and the fact that he's making these changes is going to be interesting to see what else he's going to do in regards to, in particular, doing business with Israel. So, I mean, you could talk about this as a political thing, but this is also a very big business thing too. The IDF comes in and helps train the NYPD and their police tactics. So when you see some of the crazy stuff the NYPD does, So how is that relationship now going to be affected between New York and Israel is interesting to say.
It is disturbing. I have no tolerance for anti-Jewish rhetoric, or Holocaust denial, or any of the nonsense. And yes, I have seen this in people who are anti-Zionist who will repeat anti-Jewish tropes and saying vile things, and I have no use for that. But businesses should be able to invest where they want to, and consumers should be able to choose who they want to do business with. And while I'm not crazy about protests outside houses of worship, as long as individuals are not being impeded from entering the house of worship, if the protesters are on a public sidewalk, why are we restricting free speech rights?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that method. I would go back. Do you remember Brother Jed from back in the day? He was a campus preacher. Brother Jed and Sister Cindy, they would come around to college campuses and they would preach in really obnoxious ways. And they had their home church. And I remember once reading they were having a having a service, and they were going to have a pizza party with the kids afterwards. And a group of lesbian activists showed up and were protesting on the sidewalk because they felt the church was homophobic, which was accurate. And the local constabulary showed up and was trying to get the lesbians to stop protesting. The members of their church came out and said, "Thank you, officers, for showing up, but we support the right of these women to protest. We do the same thing when we preach on college campuses. And we respect the right of free speech and protest. Thank you very much. As long as they stay on the sidewalk, fine." And then the pizza showed up, and they invited the protesters to join them for some pizza. And some of the protesters stayed, ate pizza, and argued with them.
Yeah.
That's called civil society. That's called being part of a community.
Yeah.
They did that.
Yeah.
And again, I don't, there are things that I would rather people not do. I don't think they're terribly effective. And I think that they can create additional animosity. But trying to restrict people from their right to protest simply because there is a house of worship, and as long as these folks are on the sidewalk and are not impeding access, come on, folks.
Well, yeah, too, and the fact that it's the selective protections, right? Like if you protest against another religion or something like that, that totally seems to be fine. Obviously, if you're not being violent or whatever, if it's peaceful. Yeah. But even peaceful protests against, people say the Jews, but you really have what I call affectionately call the regular Jews, just regular people, just who want to just live their lives. They have their own religious beliefs, but they're not a part of trying to affect anything politically with their religion, right? They just want to be citizens, or they want to be whatever. And then you have those who are pretty radical that do want to make political changes on a broad spectrum of issues that the majority of people may or may not be in line with themselves. But when you protest them peacefully by giving your opinions vocally or whatever, and by not providing your dollars to them, I think both of those are the same forms of protest. When you protest by keeping your dollars away from somebody, right? I'm not going to support you financially because you're doing A, B, and C, and I think those are wrong. Now, maybe if you change A, B, and C, you don't do those things, maybe I'll support you again. That's kind of how that relationship works. But when you say, you must do this, then people will be like, I must? Really?
Really?
We'll
Yeah.
we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. This one is pretty creepy. The Elon Musk AI chatbot.
Oh yeah, this is.
Yeah, you wanna tell us about this, or you want me to read a little
So,
bit of it?
you guys have heard about the deep fakes and like deep fake porn, and it's been around for a while. People were using Photoshop and whatnot to attach faces and heads to bodies
Mm-hmm.
to create porn. Um, and obviously, this is very distressing to victims. Now, AI is making this even easier. Most of the AI services models out there are restricted, don't allow that to happen, or are trying to keep that from happening. But apparently, Grok doesn't go along with that. And
Yeah.
it's been allowing it to happen. And it's a way to humiliate the victims. It can cause a great deal of distress, possibly have serious repercussions in terms of professional and family relationships. It's really deeply disturbing. And what is even more disturbing is seeing people try to justify it. We saw
Mhm.
the one guy said, well, this is a deep philosophical question. If this is not a person's body, can we say that this is actually an image of them? Well, come on, you dork nozzle. We identify people by their faces.
Mhm. Yeah.
And this is just, it's really reprehensible. I remember a time when Twitter used to be useful. It was always kind of a cesspit, but whenever there was, for example, a breaking news story or a breaking event like a terrorist attack or a weather situation, you could get some pretty good information from the first 15, 20 minutes from locals and that sort of thing. And now it is just an incredibly disturbing space. And again, as a First Amendment person, I believe in its right to operate. But knowing that Grok, that those safeguards have not been put on Grok is particularly disturbing. Also, given that X is a source for a lot of conspiracy theories. It's also been a source where independent journalists can get their ideas out, and I think that's important as well. But the more filth and AI slop, and this is a form of AI slop that's on there, it's making it even less useful, and it's deeply troubling.
Yeah, I think I'm saying that 2026 is going to be. I think they're going to perfect that AI slop. You're not going to see that extra hand or extra finger and all kinds of. They're going to fix the voice, and once that is perfected, yeah, it's going to make deep fakes look like child's play, right? We're already seeing like with this going on with Venezuela, people making AI crowds of people saying, look at all these people in Venezuela. And it's like, no, that's AI, right? And you're going to get to the point you're not going to be able to see with your naked eye how to differentiate. You're going to have to run that through some sort of application that's going to have to determine if it's AI or not, right? And then,
And
of
that,
course,
yeah,
well, then, going on to court cases later on where people are saying they have video proof that somebody did something. They can say, oh, well, that's AI,
yeah,
or
and you
audio proof,
don't.
same thing.
And also the thing to keep in mind is when something comes is released, people will stick with that first impression, and
Yeah.
they don't want to come back and admit that they were wrong. Remember that poor guy Richard Jewell
Yeah.
with the Olympic bombing? He was the hero, but he was unfairly targeted, and the media went after him. But when he was totally exonerated, completely exonerated, you didn't hear much about that. And it's very disturbing. It's also making it harder for journalists. If a
Mm-hmm.
story comes in and a journalist wants to report on it, now there's an extra layer of caution or
Yeah.
concern that did not previously exist.
Yeah. At least an extra layer of suspicion, either warranted or not, when it comes to journalists too, that, oh, now I have to worry about uh, whether people think this is AI or not. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the things. And especially, you know, with this thing with Grok, I was reading there, was not just, you know, adults, it was children involved too. And when you do that, yeah, you know, that's there's no regulation
Yeah.
yet either. And I don't know if there will be, to be honest with you.
As our good friend Tom Hall says, when the truth is unknowable, the people in a position of influence can create any truth they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called controlling the narrative. And like you said, you could get those initial images out there and they could be fake and then proven fake later, but people will always still remember those initial images that shocked them, especially depending on the level of how much they've been shocked too.
And Uncle
So
Warren, it's not just controlling the narrative, it's creating it,
yeah.
creating and then controlling it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If they create the narrative, if it starts going awry, they have to control it and get it back on track. Because it's always about the narrative. It's always about their message that they're trying to get out to you, instead of you finding it through independent sources yourself and going, hey, wait a minute, this differs from what they were talking about. How about financial support beyond family here,
Yeah.
breaking household budgets? I mean, but Trump says we got a great economy here, Lainey. What is this? What is this silliness about?
Well, Payments, by the way, is an interesting site. I've been using them for years. They do a lot of reporting on financial payment systems, but they've really kind of expanded into supply chains, into all kinds of business and personal finance. And one of the things they've been really focusing on is the fact that many households are paycheck to paycheck. And one of the interesting thing here is we have people who, for example, might very well be making enough for their household's expenses and maybe able to have savings or whatnot. But apparently there's an increased level of some households are supporting people outside their household. They're supporting other generations, and that is putting a huge strain on personal finances. Many of these folks are supporting. We talk about Generation X, our generation, Uncle Warren, as the sandwich generation, where we people in our bracket are perhaps supporting adult kids. We might be supporting grandkids, but we also may be supporting elderly parents as well. Yeah. And that's draining any hope of a retirement and making it harder, again, for people to have that financial cushion. As I was bringing up earlier, travelers are very vulnerable because they're away from home, they're away from their normal resources, they don't have their home necessarily to go back to, or their automobile to drive places. And when airlines screw up or where there are problems and there's that breakdown, if the traveler does not have a significant financial cushion, they could find themselves trapped in a very unpleasant situation. And this report it gets into it. People are living from paycheck to paycheck, and one of those factors is that people are expected to provide some level of financial support, whether it's helping folks out intermittently, or helping family members because with all kinds of day-to-day expenses, because they themselves cannot afford to live at a reasonable level. That is really draining people, even people who do have jobs, even dual income households, where people are making money. They have college degrees, or they have, they're in a trade that makes some money. They are still being strained. And this time it's not just how they are living, but the fact that they have family members who can't live on what they're making.
Yeah. That's the thing. The extended family. I've noticed this several years ago in New York, where a lot of kids, people who are like in their early to mid 20s, they weren't leaving the house anytime soon because they couldn't afford it. They couldn't, so they would stay home, make money, and contribute back into that household. And yeah, so that, in fact, that's what it's starting to get back to that by now, because people are not able to live by themselves anymore. A lot of them are getting roommates. A lot of them, some people are getting married just for the tax breaks and trying to save money, which is always a good idea to involve love and finances. I guess maybe if your priority is more love, it's okay. But I mean, that's what's happening. You're starting to see more people do this in this era, especially with the prices going up and up and no relief in sight.
And they could cut off the kids, the grandkids, the elderly parents, or they have siblings who have disabilities. But that is very difficult. People don't want to do that to family members.
Well, no, yeah, and especially people who understand the situation in their area, the financial situations and whatnot. They know they can't, that these kids are not being lazy, that they're not, pulling themselves up by the old bootstraps or whatever. These are hard economic times for everybody, until you get to a certain level of income where it isn't. But, I saw in that story there, like 2/3 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. It used to be not too long ago, it was half. People were, and that was a significant number, and now it's 2/3. Where does it all end? I don't know.
It's not going to end anywhere good. And when you have a bunch of extremely irascible Gen Xers who get to the point where it's not just a matter of retirement age, but there's a cognitive and physical decline.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to create some real problems. One of the reasons I lift weights is because I'm trying to make sure that I am in decent shape to face my declining years, because I plan to continue working.
Mm-hmm.
And but not everybody has the ability to do that.
But that's our mentality. That is, we're the work till we die generation. The boomers were work till we retire. We're the work till we die generation. Some of us will retire, but there isn't that much of us anyway. Remember, our generation's only 15 years worth of people, sandwiched between two generations of 20 years. And we were overlooked in the beginning. I'm pretty sure we'll be overlooked in the end. Yes. So
yeah, Potter's fields will be the Gen X fields.
Well, let's dive in the pool. We got some press pool stuff to get to. And this happened the other day, I think. In Michigan organizer speaks after being arrested live on camera for protesting Trump Venezuela attack. Freedom of speech, y'all. So a 22-year-old woman who was detained for several hours by police in Grand Rapids, Michigan on Saturday after speaking out against President Donald Trump's invasion of Venezuela had allegedly obstructed a roadway and failed to obey officers. The old obstructing an investigation, obstructing. It's always some sort of obstructing thing when you just show up with a camera. And failed to obey officers, but she described an arrest in which the authorities appeared to be suspicious of her for protesting at all. So Jessica Plichta, a preschool teacher and organizer, told Zeteo on Monday that police officers repeatedly asked her why she was at a protest in Grand Rapids Rosa Park Circle, where hundreds of demonstrators spoke out against the U.S. military's abduction of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, a violation of international law that has garnered worldwide condemnation. So Plichta had just finished speaking to a reporter with local ABC News affiliate WZZM, that's WZZM, about her opposition to the U.S. invasion of Venezuela, when two city police officers came up behind her and placed her under arrest. obviously she must have been like destroying stuff, right? Burning stuff on fire and stuff. No. It is the duty of us, the people, to stand against the Trump regime, the Trump administration, that are committing crimes both here in the U.S. and against people in Venezuela, she said, just before the officers appeared on camera behind her and said, "Psych, you thought you had freedoms. Bah ha ha ha." No, I'm kidding. That's paraphrasing the cops there. I'm sure they didn't say anything intelligent. Plichka told Zateo, I don't think it's a coincidence that as soon as I finished an interview speaking on Venezuela, I was arrested, the only person arrested out of 200 people, to which I stroked my beard and go, sounds like she got a good point there. She told the officer she was not resisting arrest. As they led her toward a police car, a bystander approached and asked the police what Plichka was being detained for. The officers replied that she had been obstructing a roadway and was accused of failure to obey a lawful command. The old lawful command too. That always makes people feel good when you hear lawful command from a police officer. You didn't do what you was told. You think you have rights? Thing. What do you think? You are a citizen? Plichka told Zateo that the police drove her away from WZZM's cameras and then took her out of the car, patted her down, and confiscated her belongings. The officers told her she had been making a scene and asked her about her involvement in the protest, whether she was Venezuelan, what she had to do with Venezuela, and what she was doing at the protest. The Popo asked her this. She also told Zateo that the police asked her for the names of other demonstrators. Papers, please. Who are your collaborators? That kind of thing. She was asked again what her connection to Venezuela was after she was taken to the Kent County Correctional Facility, where she was held for about 3 hours and released after outcry from her fellow organizers. Yeah, so this is just blatant. We can't have you talking about these things.
And why are they asking her about her national origin or her ethnicity?
Yeah. Why? That
is a rhetorical question, by the way.
And that's none of their business. Why she's protesting? As long as she's
peaceful. Local police. I mean, they're not
right. How is she? I'm sorry. This lady is not large enough to block a road. So I don't know why they would say she was obstructing a roadway, unless she was dancing in front of cars or something. I don't think she was. I don't think that's what happened, but
yeah,
this is some people are like, oh, well, this is real ticky. She probably did some. No, this isn't ticky. They shouldn't be asking questions like that. They shouldn't be trying to get people to out their fellow protesters too. I found that to be very she didn't break any laws, so why should she be outing her friends too, or her people that were protesting? It's just we getting close to something.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to happen. I can't see. Yes, I know we've been dumbed down and propagandized, and whatever's put in our food and waters has made us lethargic and not care. But even humans like us, we have a breaking point at some point. What that is, I don't know, and what's going to happen, I don't know. But something tells me it ain't going to be good. And so that's why we all got to talk to each other and use our communication skills and our critical thinking skills too. I always preach that too. So and we have to save our public broadcasting too, Lainey.
Well, as we know, we've been reporting on this for a while. Corporation Public Broadcasting has been defunded. They are dissolving the organization. And there's other organizations that are going to be taking up that mantle. On a practical level, this is going to impact the quality of information through TV, television, and radio, mass media broadcasting to many communities, particularly smaller towns, rural communities, where they don't have a plethora of choices. And, this is going to be impacted, and these communities are going to be impacted. And it also means that communities themselves are going to have to step up. I listen to public radio down here in Bentonville, and they're often fundraising now. They have to, because they want to be able to continue to provide excellent programming to folks down here. We don't have down here what I had up in Chicago, which is commercial radio stations like WBBM that offer really superb news reporting. If you want, there are some AM stations down here that are news and talk, but they get these ideologues on there, and it's just unlistenable. And while NPR is not, again, they have their own biases. It's something a little bit better. And it's something that these communities can have. And again, some of these stations, they have excellent culture, entertainment, long form interviews. And that's not something that many of these communities are going to get. It's going to have to be now at the community level. People are going to have to step up and find ways to support not only non-commercial public broadcasting, their public stations, and their community low power FM stations, which are also not for profit, but it is also going to come on to local broadcasting outlets, both radio and television, to step up and start getting advertisers to support their journalism, their news, their new information. This is really uncharted territory, because this has been around for a very long time. It's well over half a century at this point. And we've had this, and now it's changing. It's going to be a major transformation.
Well, now these public stations are going to have to go the route of the way people make money on YouTube with streaming. Yep. Right? They're going to have to ask for donations, Patreon support, that kind of thing, on a grander scale to help, pay for operating costs and whatnot. I think what you might start seeing is more and more localization, starting something on YouTube, maybe purchasing the local low power TV station and then rebroadcasting what they have on YouTube to that community that doesn't have internet access or can only access any information through low power or even medium power, towers and whatnot. So it's instead of fighting the beast that is online, they may have to actually, kind of make a deal with the devil, and as far as using online to help facilitate and provide the content for those who are producing it themselves, or vice versa. Like somebody's producing something local, they're going to broadcast it local, and they're also going to put it on YouTube to get more interest and hopefully more fundraising too.
Yeah, more partnerships could be happening, which I think is going to be positive. I think and that's going to force people to work together. I think that there is a real hunger and need for local news. Unfortunately, the funny thing is, I'm living in Walmart headquarters, where there's a lot of business going on here, but it's hard for me always to find real, genuine local news. We do have an excellent NPR affiliate out of the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville, but it is nowhere near the local coverage that I was getting up in Chicago. I'd like to see more of that. But it is going to, people are going to have to be intentional about this. You want to be in journalism, you want to be in broadcasting, you are going to have to take specific steps. You're going to have to form partnerships. We had Mike Prendergast on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about he had an idea for a show. He went to a college radio station. They said, "Come on board." That's a possibility. They're partnering with the college, high schools are more difficult because you're dealing with minors. So that can be a little bit more difficult, but it's a great place to start training up these young journalists, and they're doing some great work. But it's talking to the owners. There are a lot of people who own these little radio stations and little low power TV stations. They can't sell because they're too small and there's no money out there, but owner financing can happen. There may be crowdfunding. There are ways of doing this. We need to come together and talk about this, because while this is not the time for us to lose our legacy stations, it could be a time for us to all come together and start something very new and different that is not dependent on funding from a government that is not always sympathetic to the needs of local communities.
To say the least, that's for sure. Well, speaking of educating people, it's time to go to clownfish school.
Just a little bit of fun here. And it's not about fillet of fish.
No, it's not. Although it's probably these McRibs are probably sleeping with the fishes, as it were. McDonald's released a statement after a lawsuit says it deceived customers about McRibs. Shocking! I know. The lawsuit filed in Illinois claims McDonald's popular McRib sandwich does not contain any actual pork rib meat. What? You're saying that this has no meat, no pork in there? That
are you actually trying to get us to believe? And I mean, sorry, but McDonald's has its own set of problems. But if people actually think that there are boneless pigs out there,
yeah, Boneless Pig was the name of my my rap group in the 80s that did nothing. Chicago-based fast food giant McDonald's has released a statement after a class action complaint. I'm amazed that this class action complaint came so late. I figured this would have happened years ago. Alleged the company misled customers, saying the chain's popular McRib sandwich does not contain any pork rib meat at all. They're calling it McBS. No, that's my thing. The lawsuit filed December 23rd of the Northern District of Illinois was brought by 4 individuals who claim McDonald's knowingly markets the sandwich in a way that deceives reasonable customers.
Oh, Lord.
With the plaintiffs alleging the sandwich is actually constructed using ground up portions of lower quality pork products, such as pork shoulder, heart, and scalded stomach. Scalded Stomach was also the name of my punk band in the late 70s, which also went nowhere.
Is it possible to get an unscalded stomach?
It could be, but when you're eating that hot pork and that hot pork shoulder, it's hard not to get that. The suit also says that sandwich is among the most expensive individual items on McDonald's menus, costing up to $7.89 at some locations. Damn! Who paying?
Dang! What wine am I going to pair with that? Ooh.
According to the suit, pork rib meat is traditionally considered a premium cut, and lower grade cuts are less valuable. What? McDonald's cutting quarters on quality? Wait a minute. Let me put on my shocked face. I'm like a Johnny Quest villain who just died. That's how shocked I am. The name McRib is a deliberate sleight of hand, the lawsuit goes on to say. McDonald's willfully, falsely, and knowingly omitted various material facts regarding the quality and character of the McRib, namely that despite its name and distinctive rib-like shape, it does not actually contain any actual pork rib meat. McDonald's knew these facts would be material to reasonable consumers, but chose not to disclose them. So basically, McDonald's said, we were joking. We were McRibbing you. See? McRibbing you.
I got a bone to pick with these attorneys. It's like this. Yeah, I know.
Quit hogging all the information. Thing. Finally, okay, yeah, we got Finley too. That's just all crazy at the end. I can't go on anybody's show that does news without having some sort of escape monkey problem story. So we got one in Tennessee. In Tennessee, escape monkey causes chaos inside Tennessee music store. It wasn't the monkeys, the MONKEES. It was just a
We do have
monkey.
some new details tonight. A monkey was on the loose today in Morristown, but it was caught today around 6 o'clock this evening. Morristown police
Look at
say
that.
officers responded to a call about a monkey at a local shop around 8 o'clock this morning. They found the monkey at the Trade Center on South Cumberland Street. MPD says the monkey damaged the business and some of the musical instruments inside. MPD says they are investigating where the monkey came from and who owns it.
Okay, now I have some concerns about this. First of all, I'm very sorry for the poor monkey, who looked absolutely terrified. I'm sorry for the owner of the business, but yeah, where the monkey came from. You don't want monkeys running amok.
Running a
And
monkey.
I'm wondering, did it escape from a lab? Which is not good.
Well, let's see.
Was-
Let's see.
Allegedly stolen from a farm in okay. Why is there a monkey at a farm in Alabama?
I don't know. That sounds like the beginning of a joke. I'll have to ask Ellen that. She's in Alabama. Maybe she knows about the Alabama.
Okay, but
monkeys.
there should not be any monkeys at farms in Alabama. There should
Somebody
not be monkeys.
stole.
Right.
Yeah,
but
I know. And
here's the problem. What was the
monkey
monkey doing there? There shouldn't be a monkey in Alabama.
That monkey was going bananas in that music shop. Sorry.
Like the banana splits?
Yeah. See, it all comes full circle.
It does.
Just like this.
Yeah, we're going to do an update on this. I want to find out what a farm in Alabama was doing with a monkey.
Details at 11. Or the film at 11. Nearly 5,000 attempt polar bear dip world record in Washington. Right? So these people, I think it'll shows here. Does it show it? Come on. No, that ain't it. That's not it. That's disturbing. Anyway, let me fix this back real quick. So you can go away. Here we go. So we can see the picture here. That's fine. So there, yeah. So you got all these people, 5,000 people running into this water on January 1st. They do this at Coney Island too in New York.
Oh yeah, I think the new mayor did that.
You know what? I'm gonna say no to that little tradition. So for various things, I don't want body parts being in other parts of the body they don't need to be. Washington City may have broken a Guinness World Record by gathering nearly 5,000 people to take a polar bear dip into frigid water at the same time. The Birch Bay Chamber of Commerce, Blaine Birch Bay Park and Recreation District 2, Electric Boogaloo, and Bellingham Whatcom County Tourism teamed up to organize an attempt to break the Guinness World Record for the largest amount of people getting frostbite. The record stood at 2,461 participants when the attempt was announced, but was broken December 13 in Sola, Norway, when 3,131 frigid souls took a cold water plunge. The Thursday attempt in Birch Bay had 6,213 registered, of which 4,917 were officially counted going into the water. Yeah. So I'm going to say that's crazy. Why would you want that? That's silly talk, right?
It has a chilling effect on my desire to.
That's the Tonight Show with Lainey Peterson, special guest Jim Fowler from the San Diego Zoo, talking about these polar bears.
And escaped monkeys and all that stuff. So
I get chills just thinking about it.
Gives me goosebumps.
I want nothing to do with that. I want nothing to do with that. What I do want to do with is our buddy Ellen Jimerson. She's going to be on Extra Bulla Live this evening. Let's put her in the mix there. Yay!
So I got the link to it, Uncle Warren, in our show notes and Substack newsletter. So
she's a minister down in Alabama, but she's also a an activist and big. She talks a lot about immigration and worker rights and that sort of thing. It's going to be a nice conversation with her tonight. She's been on Due Dissidence a lot. She's buddies with them, and that's where I found out about her, and I thought, wow, this lady knows a lot of stuff, and she's very cool. She's going to be on the show tonight. That's going to be 8 a.m. I'm still, it's probably 8 a.m. somewhere. 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Looking forward to seeing her.
It's gonna be a good show.
I believe that's it for us today. So come out for that tonight. Should be fun. We're going to be talking about Venezuela as well, and what's going on. She has some particular insight into that would be good to share. And then I guess coming up next couple of weeks, I'll be getting my shows back on. I've been taking a nice little lazy break, trying to stream them down a little bit. I think doing 2-3 hour shows like that is a bit much. So I'm going to try and spread the wealth a little bit. So some changes on the way, but good changes, hopefully good changes that you'll enjoy. So any final words for the kiddies here before we do the old splitsies?
First of all, BBC voter, always good to see you. Thank you. And good to see you always. Yes, I'm going to be starting. I've invested in some new equipment, and I am going to be starting to do live streams on the Undercurrent YouTube channel. It will not be on Extra Bulla. So if you're watching this on Extra Bulla, please, I put the link in the in the comments section. Please consider subscribing to the Undercurrent channel itself, because that's where I'll be streaming from. I may go from my my own YouTube channel as well, and possibly Facebook, but it will not be on Extra Bulla. I'm going to start doing some live streaming. We're going to talk with Auntie Laney's Galley. We're going to be from my kitchen. We're going to be talking food and wine, and maybe get a little politics and current events in there as we're talking food and wine and stuff like that. I think it should be a fun time. But I'm going to be doing that, and you'll be getting your notifications about that. Also, please do consider subscribing to the Substack. It's absolutely free. It's just a way to get the show notes and reminders about our shows in your mailbox.
Cool. And we appreciate everybody that's watching on our YouTube channel, The Undercurrent for you. We're also on Rumble as well. Undercurrent is there. So if you're a Rumble person, you have a place for that as well too. Like I said, on The Undercurrent, and of course on Extra Bulla, and on our Facebooks too, on Jonathan Dearman, that's me on Facebook, and Auntie Laney, Space Pirate Extraordinaire. I believe that's your Facebook account, isn't that right? It's Space Pirate. No, I'm kidding.
The other thing you can do also, if right now our stuff is streaming on Facebook and on my Instagram on a personal accounts, we need to get the numbers up on the Undercurrent account before we can do live streaming there. I've put in the link tree. If you could just take a moment to subscribe to our Instagram and Facebook pages, that would be super helpful, so that we can get to the point where we can live stream directly on there, not just our personal accounts.
That's right. Let me put our link tree up there. All that stuff is at our link tree. That's one of the things I like about Linktree, is it brings all those together. It's kind of one-stop shopping when you're looking for stuff for us. So, and we appreciate all your help, your love, and your support for coming out and watching our shows and being involved in the conversations too. That's what it's all about. Lainey has provided some good quality information stories, as far as like going in depth and providing more information about more of these news stories that you can use to help your lives and help make them better, and help get around some of these nonsensical things that's happening to us too. We all gotta stick together for that. So that being said, let's get out of here. This show will be back next week, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Specific time. Or Pacific time. Have a great day, everyone. Love each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Take care. Peace out.